Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Conscious Club podcast. So this week I actually didn't think I was going to film anything or record anything because I'm just entering into like a life transition portal next week that I will talk about in a sec. So I was like, no, there's like too much going on. Like, I don't want to record a podcast, but I'm here because I think it's actually going to be really beneficial for me to just verbally process through my approach over the next few weeks, especially because my podcast has been a space where I have been talking a lot about structure and routines, and I'm now entering into a period of my life of a few weeks where I will be traveling, and so all of the routines and structures that I have set up, they will be challenged a little bit just because my reality will look different, so something that works for me while I'm at home, it's not going to work for me when I'm traveling. So today's podcast, because I am like in the middle of doing a lot, I didn't set up the video version, but that's okay. We are flowing with just the audio today because, honestly, I'm just very happy that I'm excited that I'm recording anything at all. This is also great because it kind of gives an update because I don't yet know what I don't know what really I'm going to be in a different time zone. Like there's going to be, okay, so let me just, hold on. Let me just take a breath and ground down into this moment. Just give me one moment. And actually, I invite you to do it as well. Just bringing all of our energy and intention into this here and now moment. For me, remembering my intention of creating and updating my audience through creating this podcast, updating my audience, and being able to verbally process through some of the thoughts floating around in my mind. And for you, the intention would be to be tuning into this podcast and sharing presence with me in this way and listening and receiving all that you are meant to receive from this episode. You're just going to breathe for a few moments. Okay, that really helps me. I've been doing that a lot in the overflow calls. Just at the beginning of every group call that we have, I like doing a little meditative check-in because I find that for me, my thoughts are sometimes so active that it's really hard to come into the here and now and like pull all my energy or my attention back from all the different places it has been that day and pull it into the here and now and to be present with the people in the call and what the intention of what I'm doing is. So I've been doing that a lot, just like this pause and remembrance of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that being said, why I'm doing what I'm doing today is because I don't know so I'm going to I guess that would help if I told you what I was doing. Next Tuesday, I am flying out to Croatia to live with and spend time with my friend Anya, who some of you would know on Instagram. Her handle is @TheRealEarthMama. I've tagged her a lot. And yeah, so initially I was supposed to be going to Croatia at this time because she was hosting a retreat, but the retreat was canceled, and so now I am just going. I don't know, it's like kind of a business trip because Anya and I are very much business partners, but at the same time it's also like a pleasure trip, and I'm just kind of going for 2 weeks and we'll see what happens. We don't have much planned. I think like our main intention is just to spend time with one another, to spend time in each other's fields. Anya and I have been like very closely working together through like a variety of different mediums. Like we've just been in such close contact since, I would say, November 2021. But it's all been online. We did hang out with each other in person once while she was visiting Toronto. But yeah, we haven't spent that much in-person time together. And this trip is very much like energetically, it's like about being in each other's physical fields and honestly just seeing what happens. Like that's kind of the plan, is like we can both sense that this is like a very big trip for both of us. Well, I feel like more for me right now because I'm like traveling and really removing myself from my everyday life. She'll be in her everyday life, but she'll just have me around. But it's like in our own ways, it's gonna be a massive growth portal, an expansion portal for both of us, and we both sense that, but we don't know exactly what it's gonna look like, right? Because when you are approaching a growth portal, you won't know because you're not already the person on the other side of it, so you won't know what exactly is going to come up. For me, this is going to be my first trip by myself. I have never traveled anywhere by myself before. I've never been on an airplane by myself before. And it feels like a growing up thing for me as well. Just like showing myself that I have the capability and the capacity to lead myself through an international travel experience. And I can, like, I don't need, like, I guess, like, it's like moving more into, like, more personal responsibility for myself. Like, just, I feel like traveling can be an uncomfortable experience sometimes because you're in new situations and you're out of your comfort zone. And for me to be able to have this experience and to show myself that I have the capacity and the capability to hold myself through any discomforts that come up and to have my own back in like a very 3D real world sense, because I'll be in my body out in like an environment that I don't know, in a country where I don't know the language. Like it'll be very stretchy for me. I mean, I'll have Anya once I'm there, but I think it's more the anxiety or the stretchiness is going to happen in the like traveling to and traveling back by myself. And even just like the thing of like navigating the airport by myself and making sure that I have everything that I need. Like I'm following all the, like all those little rules that you have to follow in order to get on an airplane and baggage and stuff like that. It's like I'm the only one responsible, and it's like it feels like a really amazing initiation. But what I really wanted to verbally process through as well in this episode is that I have been so structured and routined and consistent with so many things in my life, and it's been so nice to get to this place. And now I'm traveling for 2 weeks, and things are that's gonna shake up those routines, and it's going to be really interesting for me to witness how I approach that, like how I handle that, it feels like a new layer of wisdom that I'm going to access when it comes to like structure and flow teachings, because it's one thing to like consistently, when your environment is consistent, it's easier to be consistent in your routines. But if your environment is not consistent, I mean, it will be once I'm there, but it just still will be a little bit of shake-up. When the environment's not consistent, then how do I approach that? Like, will I just completely be stressed out? Will I be able to handle it and to shift and be as fluid as I need to be? So I feel like it's a really good curriculum in understanding my personal balance between structure and flow. Obviously, when you're in a more inconsistent place, it requires more flow and fluidity. But at the same time, now that I know that I really thrive with structure, how do I incorporate both of those knowings, and how do I apply what I've learned so far? So it's going to be interesting, like, even with like how I show up for my business. I don't know. I think I need to just sit down today after I finish recording this and just decide like what my expectations are for myself when it comes to how much I want to post, because I don't really want to commit to posting every day while I'm there, because I feel like I will be in the process of integrating like a lot of change, and it's going to be very unfair for me to ask myself and to expect myself to be like posting every day, like as I have been living at home. So it's just, I think I just need to sit down today and figure that out. And you know what? Maybe I will actually stop this podcast here or pause it and go do that, and then come back to you guys and tell you what I've decided. I feel like that feels really helpful. I think before I go, though, I will just talk about what the routines have been so far that I have to restructure. So right now, my routine has been every day I show up to my Instagram community, and oftentimes I also like send out a Substack newsletter with the Instagram post. It's just kind of a little reformatted, and I seem to like have so much creative inspiration right now that I have been like scheduling a lot. So for example, if I have multiple post ideas in a day, I post the first one so that I have my like daily, like I've met my daily goal of posting once a day. But then if I have any extra ones, I'll schedule them and like for other days. And that's kind of how I've been rolling. Like it's kind of like with the scheduling, I'm in flow because there's some days where I don't have to write or do anything because I already have something scheduled. But at the same time, there's a consistency and structure in like, I know I will be posting every day. So already like today I went to Ottawa for the weekend, and already that was disrupted because I didn't have any posts scheduled for today, Monday. And then I also had this like one call that we do in Overflow that only happens once a month. So I had that call today, so I just haven't really gotten around to like creating a post. So it's like noticing the anxiety that comes up from that, and then just noticing like this impulse to like, okay, I just need to go and do that right now. But then also realizing like there's no obligation. Like the expectation was one that I spent on myself, and maybe I get to have a different set of structures for these next 3 weeks as I prep for this trip, and then maybe even like next 4 weeks. The first week, like as I prep for this trip, and then the 2 weeks being on the trip, and then the 4th week, like grounding back down from the trip. Like I feel like that's what I'm gonna create a structure around and a plan around. That's gonna feel really supportive for me, because I'm someone who I feel like it's like once I do the plan, it's like, or in the process of planning, I'm essentially writing down all my desires and everything that I want to do, and then deciding how to actually fit all of those things that I want to do in place with one another. And then when I'm actually living it, I can just follow the plan, because I know that past version of me had my back and like already thought it all out and thought about all the different pathways and things, and now I just get to live it. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna pause here. Okay, that's the thing. And then I'm not gonna pause here because that's not my full routine yet. That's like my social media routine, like showing up to my social media community. I'm basically checking in with my audience daily. So there's that I've been doing. And then I have my daily co-working calls for Overflow. And then I have a weekly pouring ceremony, which is more of a connection talking call on Wednesdays. That's every Wednesday. What else do I do? And then I have some hour, like I help Anya with the back end of her business, and so I have like an hourly thing with her where I do a certain number of hours and help her out per week. So there's that routine. And then there's just my own routine of working on more longer term projects in my own business. So spending some time, like right now, I'm using that time to create some digital products that can be like a pathway to passive income, where I'll just have these digital products on my website, on my shop, and as people find me, they can flow through those and buy those. So that's what I'm working on right now. In the past, it's also been like refining Overflow, the community, working on the Overflow community, making it more accessible for people, just working on it. So that's kind of what I remember right now is like the main routine pieces around my business that I show up for. And now I'm going to pause and I'm going to rethink through everything and plan the next 4 weeks out. And then I will come back and tell you what I came up with. So it's been a few days and I'm back with my decisions. So I realized that this is a great opportunity for me to go back into like full flow mode for the next few weeks until I'm back from my trip, mostly just to experiment with seeing, like, with all of the structure that I've been implementing into my life and my day-to-day over the past few months. And as you've heard me explore it over the various weeks of this podcast, it's kind of like I want to see how much of it is going to stick. How much of it, when I'm not holding it all together really intentionally, what is going to stick. And that I think is going to help me a lot as well. Continue to find that balance between structure and flow for myself, because it is 100%, I feel like an ongoing dance. It's not just that we implement one structure and that's it for the rest of our lives. We are to be flexible with the structures. And for some people, how long they hold a structure in their life is like a longer period of time, whereas some people are shorter. Like some people enjoy holding structures for various days in a row, various weeks in a row, months, and some people even years, although I can't relate to that. And then there's people who maybe don't like repetition in their structure on the day-to-day. Like they enjoy, obviously they've got the innate structure of being a human being, and so they have to have experienced tasks like eating and things like that, but the order and how they perform all these tasks and move through all these tasks can look different on a day-to-day. And I hope that if you've been following me over the last weeks of episodes, that one of the things that you're taking away from this season of this podcast is that structure is a personal game. It is something that nobody else can teach you or tell you how to do right. You learn the right amount of structure and flow for you based on your personal experimentation with it. So on that theme, next week, the next few weeks until I'm landing back in Canada in June, they're just going to be, I feel like, a playground for me to further explore this dance. Because I remember I was when I started talking about structure on this podcast, I was I just come from full flow for years. And then I've gone into about 2.5 months of very intentional structure and routine and consistency, and I've succeeded in my goals with that. And now I get to go back into full flow mode and see how much of that consistency and structure and routine naturally sticks. And that is going to help me when I come back home in June. I feel like is going to really help me understand how to be even more in balance with structure in my life. And it's going to be interesting because obviously like when I leave next Tuesday, then there's going to be a few days of travel and transition and settling in. But once I settle in, I'm not moving around a lot, which is like great for me. I'm just staying with a friend and basically just living with her. So I will have this like stability, and I'll be able to form new routines and new structures based on what my lifestyle is going to look like when I'm there. And it's just going to be really interesting to witness myself go through that, or just like to see how the experience unfolds, and how do I respond, and how does my body and how does my mind and everything, like how does my system want to create structures when I'm in a completely new place, just a completely new like external reality situation. Like, I just think it's gonna be super fun, and for that reason I literally decided that I'm going to like literally not have any structural rules, like even about social media posting, the podcast, like all of that. I'm just gonna let it drop for the next few weeks and see what happens. And I honestly am at peace with like if I post a lot and I show up a lot and I do a lot of things and I get a lot of work done, like that's amazing. But also if I don't post at all and I want to go into more of a quiet zone over the next few weeks, and that's really great as well. Like I'm just so curious to see what happens and what I do. I also just understand like at a core deep level of myself right now that this trip is going to be like paradigm shifting for me. And also because of that reason, because I sense this incoming paradigm shift, I'm like, there's literally does not make sense to try to plan because I feel like the models and the models of reality that I currently hold are going to be morphing while I'm on this trip. And so you can't really place a lot of structure that's gonna last on top of a fluid environment. You know what I'm saying? Like a fluid setting. It's hard to, okay, so for example, if the ground is moving around, right? If the earth is moving around, it's gonna be really hard to erect a building that is going to withstand that movement. And so that's kind of the place that I'm at, and I'm just like really excited, first of all, to like experience the full flow mode again, and with the wisdom that I know, that like the wisdom of knowing how much safety and security and like feel goodness that structure and routine brings me. I'm really excited to go into like flow mode and see what happens and see how I approach things. And I'm setting the intention now that I do want to do like a check-in for this podcast while I'm there, having my trip, and then I want to do like a debrief after I come back. So I want to set that intention, and I trust that I will do those things. I mean, okay, as I said that, I just like had this thought come up that has been coming up a lot for me, and just about choice, and me in situations like this, like being like, I trust that I will be, it's like, no, do I want to or do I not want to? So I guess that is a form of structure. See, that's what I was saying. Like, it's like, I don't know, I want to say and commit to recording a check-in episode while I'm still there in the middle of everything, so I can talk about what my day-to-day organizational thing, like what my day-to-day is looking like and how I'm organizing it and how I'm showing up. But at the same time, like I can't actually commit to it because I also have the intention of keeping the full flow. So you know what, we're just gonna leave it at that and see what happens. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. This episode and this podcast is sponsored by my mystery school, Overflow. And Overflow is a mystery school and a community space for women who desire to approach creative living and successful entrepreneurship from a nourished place. So this is a place where we do all the business things. We talk about our creative projects. We like hype each other up. We give each other resources, but at the same time, we're simultaneously hyping each other up to like prioritize our bodies and our self-care, and all of that. So if that sounds really fun and interesting for you, I invite you to join us. The link is going to be in the show notes. It's actually a monthly subscription, and there's no, besides that month-long commitment, you can unsubscribe, hop in and out as you please, as your resonance requires of you. And yeah, that's it. That's all for today's episode. I'm so excited for my trip. I feel like I've started to really come to terms with any nervous energy or anxiety about the trip, and I'm like finally settling back into relaxation with my body, which feels really good. Hopefully this will carry through all the way until I land in Croatia and I can settle down there. Yeah, my first solo international trip, first solo trip in general. So anyway, I'm very excited. I'm ready for the paradigm shift, and I'm excited to tell you guys all about it. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you soon.